Hey everybody, I have a wonderful and special guest, MaxNoSleeves.
Hey, what's going on?
Is that how you want to be introduced, MaxNoSleeves?
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay, I was like, oh, your real name.
Do you know my real name is Steven?
Really?
Yeah, super
You
dirty.
heard it here first. But Max has come and sat on my couch to talk about, real stuff and his process. Is that too
Real
much?
feelings
Real,
and stuff like
real
that. Special
feelings.
stuff.
And all of his thoughts about mental health and his own experiences. As always, the first question is what are your thoughts about mental health? When did you ever consider mental health? When was that something? Did your parents ever talk about it? Most people are like, no, but some people, yeah.
They'd mention it. I think the first time ever is probably middle school. Because that's when everyone starts having real feelings and such.
It's true. A lot of feelings.
And then, there was a big emphasis in my middle school about how you're feeling, whether you're feeling depressed or not. And then we actually had a kid in my high school who killed himself for freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And so then the school went on real okay, if anyone's feeling at all anything, let us know. Here's a million assemblies about this, that, and the other thing. And so
That's awesome.
there was a pretty good emphasis placed on it. And
Yeah.
it certainly was at the forefront of what we were dealing with.
Yeah, definitely. And it's cool when schools have the resources available. And the thing that I want all of you to know is the resources are there. Sometimes we just have to ask for them.
Yeah.
But some situations like that can bring it about and make it known just how many resources there are, and they might double down on what they're doing. The next question, I guess, is have you ever been in therapy yourself? If so, what was your experience, or good, bad? I know I get a lot of questions about, starting it.
Yeah, I saw a guy, actually, he was down the street from where we are. Spoilers, Mars. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I was feeling a little weird. I was feeling a little lost. I moved to California. I didn't really know what I was doing. I have a huge family. They're all back home, and I was out here sort of feeling like I was pretty alone, even though I wasn't. I had a pretty good friend crew here, but
you can feel alone even if you have friends around, because it's not whatever it is you're needing, they're not filling it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would. You sort of have a feeling like you need some support or something. It was good. It was nice to sort of vent. After a while, I felt like I was complaining, and then he sort of started giving me assignments, basically, constructive things to do. I think in the beginning he wanted me to just bitch for a while.
Well, just get comfortable with him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the truth. It's part of the relationship building, where we make sure that you feel comfortable. And I do homework too. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I do with my clients, mainly because it ends up moving things along faster for them. Mm-hmm. But it also shows us if they're ready to work or not, because it's usually not easy work. Mm. Even with my therapist, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do it. It takes me 3 weeks to do it.
I remember a couple of times he told me to do something, I'd be like, right. Wait, serious? Are you fucking serious?
Wait, you mean for real?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was good. I thought it was really helpful. And it was nice to sort of talk to someone that you knew was sort of divorced from the situation. It can give you some sort of a good perspective on it. And you didn't I eventually got to the point where I wasn't embarrassed to tell him stuff, because I knew he's sort of my guy off in my corner, kind of.
So I guess my next question is, are there ways, since you're not in therapy currently, are there other ways that you try to best take care of yourself or manage any of the maybe, I don't know, sounds like ruminating thoughts, I guess?
For me, exercise is a good one. And specifically exercise without headphones. For a while I was running, and I'd hear a cool song, or I'd work out or whatever, and it was just sort of a couple hours that went by, or 40 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then once I stopped wearing headphones and went for either longer and slower jogs.
Jogging sucks.
Yeah,
By the way.
It's so fucking boring. But that's what happens. Your mind gets pretty bored, and then you sort of zone out, and then you sort of start to think about stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a thing that I hadn't really been focusing on, that I have 5 minutes to think about, and now I sort of figure out what I want to do about it, or this is how I figure out how I feel about something. So I guess for me, the main things have been sort of exercise and sort of doing something to zone out, and then actually think about what you're doing. Yeah. And then swimming.
It's kind of like your meditation, your time for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Forcing yourself to think about it. So the next question, I think, and this is just honestly a question that I have because you have a different perspective than me, is it more difficult to reach out as a guy, do you think? Do you think you waited longer? Or did you not feel that there was any difference?
Reach out to
a therapist. Or to even talk about it, I guess. Did your friends know? Or it's a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
At first, nobody knew, and I wasn't really sure how to handle it. And I sort of reached out because I was kind of like, I was driving myself crazy. I was in my mind the whole time, and I was just like nonstop clatter. And then I went to this guy, and it was nice, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'd eventually... I remember in the beginning when they'd be like, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go hang out with my buddy, or I'm going to go like get a coffee or whatever. And then after a while, I was like, no, I'm going to go see my my guy. It's a therapy guy.
Yeah.
He's cool.
And
like,
everybody was fine. Like, sure. Yeah.
They were like, yeah, cool. When are you going to be back? Like, let's grab a couple beers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a non-issue, but... Which is cool because, you know, I definitely had feelings of like, this is embarrassing for some reason. Or is it? I don't even know. But
I think that's kind of the stigma associated with it. It shows us, I guess, that the stigma is still there. People assume that you have to be quote unquote crazy to get into therapy versus thinking like, no, that's actually really hard. And that's actually taking a step to better yourself. And by doing that, I'm just doing better things for myself. I'm caring for myself. And it's actually a good thing. It's a strong move to do that.
And there's definitely like a productive way to spend an afternoon. At least that's how I sort of saw it.
Yeah.
You know, you could do nothing and still have the same problems, or you could talk about your problems with somebody and try to work through them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you feel a lot better. You get a lot more done. When I've had to explain to somebody else what my problem is, then it's like the first step to be like, okay, cool. Well, now I can actually do something about it.
Yeah, exactly. Now I can start working on it. Okay, cool. I know what it is. It has a name. Yay.
Whereas before that, it would just sit there and linger as like an
runs.
Abstract... Ugh, yeah, it's awful.
So as always, my last question is, what advice would you give to a younger MaxNoSleeves? Like a teen, maybe?
Two things right off the bat. One, cut your stupid fucking haircut. No joke, I had like very similar hair to you.
Oh, really?
I had like a blonde, like...
Oh, you had blonde?
I went bleach blonde.
Oh, okay, bleached. I was like, wow, you were blonde at one point.
No, I was like a punk blonde kid.
Oh.
I guess the main thing would be like, don't worry as much about what other people think of you. That was like my number one.
Yeah.
That's what freaked me out the most. That's what like dictated almost everything I did, everything I wore, how I looked, how I like acted, kind of.
Yeah. Same.
And then what happened was I found a group of friends that I really liked, and on my wrestling team, and they were my best friends, and they were super cool. And then we sort of got to the point where I didn't really care about what anybody thought. I got over that because I had a crew of guys that like had my back.
I always think that's important, like understanding that when you're of that age, because middle school is the worst.
It's tough, yeah. It's not easy.
And I asked in the other video, because I talked about how middle school fucking sucked, and they were like, why does everybody always say middle school's bad? And I'm like, hormonal changes meet body changes. It's like and also, like, you finally are really interested in the opposite sex or the same sex. You're interested in dating. And that just, like, perfect storm.
And then people are still figuring out, like, what's mean and not mean.
Yes.
Like, from grade school and
who
high school.
you are a little bit. Like, what do I like and not like? And, I mean, it's just a lot. Everybody's self-conscious.
Like a blood sport.
But don't worry, it gets better. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your stuff, coming on my couch. And we did a video over on Max's channel, so you can click over here or the link in the description, and it's really funny, you guys. I think you'll like it. Okay, see you next time. Bye!